There's another Alex Dutton tragedy in 1923's finale that no one realizes. On top of her death, there's another tragedy for Alex Dutton, Julia Schlattfer, in 1923 Season 2's finale. Yellowstone screenwriter Taylor Sheridan details the lives of the Prohibition-era Duttons in the prequel to his original series, explaining that life protecting the Yellowstone ranch has always been challenging for John Dutton's, Kevin Costner family. Spencer Dutton, Brandon Sklinner, finally makes it home in the finale to finish the long-awaited war that Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn, started against Jacob Dutton's, Harrison Ford, family in 1923 Season 1. While Spencer's assisting his uncle at the train station in Bozeman, and his aunt Cara Dutton, Helen Mirren, at the ranch was explosive and memorable, the end of 1923 Season 2 is also riddled with tragedy for Spencer and his wife, Alexandra. Despite Spencer serendipitously jumping from the train and saving his wife as they passed, seeing Alexa's call for help, Alex died at the hospital after delivering her baby, who she named John. Hopefully, Alex was able to pass down her brave-hearted qualities to her son, but it's unclear if John will ever know all of his mother's incredible story. As she encounters people who are willing to step in and save her in 1923 Season 2's finale, a common remark made in the show's final chapter is that Alex Dutton must have an incredible story to tell. When Alex tells her tale to Paul, Augustus Prue, and Hillary, Janet Montgomery, in their cozy Winnetka home, Paul jokes that the story is so fantastic, he wants to share the tale with Edgar Rice Burroughs, a prominent author at the time, who penned Tarzan. Still, Paul never gets the chance, since he and Hillary die on the voyage to Emigrant, Montana. With Paul, Hillary, and Alex's deaths, too, dies Alexandra's story. Despite those around her remarking that she has a tale to tell, Alex never actually tells her story in 1923's finale before her untimely death. This worsens Alex's fate in 1923 Season 2. Alexa's death has already begun erasing her from the Dutton family tree. Her remaining kin being unaware of her incredible story makes Alex's mark even smaller. While her child will live on without her, Jacob, Cara, and even Spencer lack a complete understanding of all Alex suffered to get to Montana, so they can't pass it on. Despite the horrible things that happened to Alex Dutton in 1923, Alex's journey was epic. She escaped her unhappy life, scrounging enough money with her friend to make a journey across the Atlantic Ocean, literally trading her life of luxury for a humble journey to Montana. Then Alex Dutton commits to her life as an American, changing her surname to Dutton as she passes through immigration at Ellis Island, honorably securing entry into her husband's country. After that, Alex is beaten, robbed, and assaulted on her railway voyage, yet keeps her grace and tenacity all the way, proving her grit. Well, we can find hope within 1923 Season 2's story that someone has access to Alex's complete tale. The possibilities are far-fetched at best. There's a chance that Alex told her story to Jacob in an off-screen conversation while they rode in the ambulance en route to the hospital in Bozeman. Still, when Alex asks how far a drive it is to the hospital, Jacob remarks that it's only a 5 or 6 mile drive, which is hardly long enough for Alex to scratch the surface of her saga. That's only if Jacob prompted her to tell her story, amid their preoccupation with Alex's declining health. Alex also could have told her story to Spencer as they lay in the hospital bed. However, Alexandra of Sussex can hardly speak when her husband arrives. It appears that once Spencer lies down, the couple falls asleep together, and when Spencer wakes, Alex is gone. Still, perhaps it's possible that Spencer could put Alexa's story together, maybe from letters that she wrote to him or her friend Jennifer, Jo Ellen Pellman, along the way, or perhaps from eyewitness accounts, like one from the local woman at the gas station, or the police who talked to Alex's friends in Chicago. That said, unless Alex wrote a diary along the way, which Spencer would have to search along the railroad to find, Alexa's story will never be told in her own words. The revelation is a truly heartbreaking addition to Alexa's tragedy in 1923 Season 2, worsening the mother's inability to raise her child or meet the family she spent so much time getting to know in Kara Dutton's letters. Alexa's death is doubtlessly one of the saddest in the Yellowstone franchise, made sadder knowing that her loved ones will never know the extent of their lion-hearted matriarch's fight. In the whirlwind of drama, loss, and frontier violence that permeates 1923's gripping finale, much of the spotlight rightfully falls on the Dutton family's core struggles. Spencer and Alexandra's harrowing voyage, Jacob and Kara's tenuous grasp on the ranch, and the slow unraveling of justice in Montana. But there's a subtler, more heart-wrenching tragedy hidden beneath the surface of the finale, one that belongs solely to Alex Dutton. And no one seems to be talking about it. Yes, Alexandra Dutton, formerly Princess Alexandra of England, emerges as a character full of passion, strength, and romantic bravery. Her whirlwind romance with Spencer is the stuff of Western legend. Love on a safari, escape by sea, surviving storms, betrayals, and the bitter cruelty of aristocratic tradition. But beneath the firebrand personality and defiant spirit lies a quiet tragedy that unfolds in the finale, one that has nothing to do with death or separation, but everything to do with identity and loss of self. The moment comes in Venice, after the lovers are cruelly separated aboard the ship by Alexandra's vengeful ex-fiancé Arthur and his powerful family. Spencer is physically dragged away, and Alexandra is left standing at the dock, screaming his name, powerless as the man she defied her whole world for is taken from her. On its face, it's a scene of dramatic heartbreak. But there's a deeper loss occurring here. Alexandra has officially been cast out of both worlds. She no longer belongs to the world of British nobility. That door slammed shut the moment she chose Spencer over her titled engagement. She cannot return to that life. She would be shamed, perhaps even disowned entirely. But now, after being ripped away from Spencer, her only link to her new future, she is left utterly unmoored. No home, no identity, no country, and perhaps worst of all, no name. Consider this. Alexandra willingly discarded her royal titles to become a Dutton in spirit, if not yet legally. She wasn't just running away with a rugged American adventurer. She was running toward a life where her worth would be defined not by her lineage, but by her grit, her choices, her love. But now, in the finale's silent undertones, Alexandra becomes a woman with nowhere to go. She has no passport, no protector. Her family likely views her as a disgrace. And the Duttons, scattered across oceans and battlefields, don't even know she exists. The tragedy is that Alexandra, for all her bravery, is now a ghost between two worlds. She's no longer the princess in the palace, nor the pioneer woman on the range. She is in limbo, emotionally and legally, a woman out of place and out of time. But it's not just logistical or romantic. The real tragedy is how the world doesn't yet know how to hold space for someone like Alexandra. She's too bold for aristocracy and too refined for the rough frontier. In the 1920s, women were still struggling to find places where they could define themselves outside of marriage or bloodlines. Alexandra tried to carve such a place, and in the finale, that effort is torn from her hands. While audiences mourn Spencer's forced exile and root for his eventual return, few seem to notice the haunting way Alexandra's arc stalls in that final scene. She is stranded not just in Venice, but in identity. Her tragedy is one of erasure. Where is her voice now? Her power? She's left behind in a world that neither wants her nor understands her. She is, for all intents and purposes, lost. And yet, what makes it all the more heartbreaking is that Alexandra doesn't seem to fully grasp the depth of her own loss yet. In the final moments, she's still screaming Spencer's name, believing love will conquer all. But as viewers, we know the world of 1923. A world built on power and violence and land, rarely rewards pure-hearted love without extracting its pound of flesh. Spencer may be her soulmate, but love cannot instantly erase borders, class systems, or centuries of tradition. Not in this world. Not in 1923. The subtext of the finale is that Alexandra's greatest tragedy might still be coming. Her willpower is immense, yes, but she has no means. No allies, no clear path forward. Even if she finds Spencer again, the woman who left England in search of a freer life may never get to fully realize that dream. The life she hoped for, a ranch under the big sky, a child in her arms, a sense of rooted belonging, feels increasingly out of reach. And unlike the overt tragedies of the series, murders, betrayals, violent confrontations, Alexandra's story is a quiet implosion. It is the story of a woman vanishing without dying, a woman erased by systems larger than herself, betrayed not by a single person, but by the invisible walls of class, culture, and history.